There's been a lot of changes to LeBlanc, but the core mechanics of her kit kind of remain the same, so I'm sure Zivis will be perfectly happy in that situation. Looks like it's going to be Karma prioritized here. And again, this is something that we saw up and down during the Challenger Series qualification. Some people loved prioritizing Karma, and some people just didn't. Yeah. I mean, again, with the slurry of supports right now that I think are just considered S tier, it's very difficult to pick a support unless you have a specific idea in mind about what you want your composition to do.
Here we go. Demo has got himself a Rengar. That is a huge pickup. We've seen that nearly 100% pick and banned throughout the CSQ, and now we're going to see that in this game. It was banned throughout the first 2 games of the Premiership. I can confirm as well the third ban was Poppy. So we won't be seeing Poppy throughout this game. But yeah, you're absolutely right on the Karma pickup. I think it's kind of a decision on, do you want to be a more defensive AP support, or do you want to be more aggressive? And Karma definitely fulfills that defensive role, but Zyra on the other side completely fills that aggressive role.
Karma's had some nerfs and changes in the last patch. Her tether now does damage at the start and damage at the end as opposed to damage throughout, which really isn't that big of a change. It kind of rewards you more for hitting the tether, but I don't think the damage on the tether was what everyone was ever worried about. But when you inspire her Defiance, so you get the Defiance shield, the actual value of that shield has been hit quite hard. So you no longer get a huge shield, it's just slightly reduced in terms of its overall shielding potential on that Karma when you overload that. So small changes. I still think she's perfectly viable though.
I think a huge portion of why you use the mantra on your Defiance is that, or on your Inspire to make it Defiance, is for the speed boost anyway, that mini Sivir ult. But we do have a couple more lock-ins. Ashe going to be the final pickup for Cyclone, as well as we've got Rek'Sai coming out for exceL. So those are the first 3. Now into the extra bans. Where are we going to go from here?
Well, first of all, I'm interested as to why exceL felt the need to pick Rek'Sai when they'd seen the Rengar. That is, for me, a wasted pick, because I don't, unless you're not trying to give away too much about your composition, I don't feel like that was completely necessary. So when in terms of bans now, you look at exceL, you maybe want to limit their potential in an AD carry role or a top lane role to A, find picks, or B, facilitate split push, because you know when you've got the LeBlanc who's probably going to be running teleport, you might have a 1-3-1 scenario. Both of them push waves very easily. It's maybe where you're seeing Fiora cut off here. I think the Corki ban is interesting because that's a matchup that I think LeBlanc struggles with. Corki has been picked on occasion in the mid lane. We saw it in the LCK today, I believe.
That's definitely just Zivis saying, look, I don't want to deal with a Corki during the lane phase. Please get rid of that. Get him away from me. But I find it interesting that Fiora's been banned away from Tolkien as well. I feel like that's kind of a respect ban to Tolkien, especially since Camille won't be in the game.
I think Kennan's a respect ban to Tolkien as well, despite Kennan receiving some changes. It also might allude to that maybe Cyclone Kerberos potentially wants to go for a Maokai. You know, he doesn't want to have to go up against a Fiora or Kennen in the top lane. Maokai might suit him very well, and I think Maokai would be a good pick here for Cyclone. Going to be an Orianna ban though, so they don't want to see an Orianna either. And with Syndra, Ryze, Orianna banned, and Corki, that leaves limited mid lane pickups in terms of high tier right now. Really, Victor stands out as the last member that you could potentially pick up to take. That's an interesting sort of prioritization here by exceL.
I think exceL recognizing that Zivis is a standout player on their roster. He is, I mean, he always used to be a standout player within the UK scene, and obviously exceL kind of tipping their hat to that and saying, look, we are going to give him priority when it comes to our ban phase, when it comes to our pick phase, and we'll see how that's going to pan out for them. Malzahar going to be locked in. We said how a couple of these aggressive supports and things have been available, not going to be in the support role though, taking it mid now.
Yeah, he's going to take that Malzahar mid, which realistically does pretty well into LeBlanc. You will shove her in early. You can lock her down when she looks for an execute. With that Nether Grasp. And now exceL have the chance to pick up their remaining members. Now you've got to pick your top lane. Your top lane is going to be blind. So you could either take a safe pick of the Nautilus or Maokai, take the Maokai away from Cyclone, which could be what I think likely going to round out their composition. Or you say to Tolkien, we trust you on a carry, which we know that Tolkien prefers to play. Tolkien has always been a carry top lane. He's one of these people that will pick a Yasuo top and dominate with it. And they're going to take the Maokai, which I love because I think Maokai was so good on the Cyclone lineup, and by taking that for Tolkien here, you kind of force Cyclone onto Darius.
Wow. Kerberos going very aggressive. Random tidbit, Kerberos is actually the name of the 3-headed dog that guards hell in Greek mythology. So very aggressive name, very aggressive champion. Maybe matches his playstyle.
Well, let's hope that Tolkien's Hercules, because he can achieve his 11th labor and take down that Darius if he gets the kills, which he won't because he's Maokai.
Can you tell we had this conversation backstage before the game? Well,
Munch came back to me and goes, "Oh, Kieran, I've got a really cool information." He was like, "Did you know that Kerberos is named the three-headed dog?" Yes, Munch, I did know that. Oh, but did you know it's actually the Greek spelling? Oh, no, I didn't know that, Munch. Did you know that Heracles,
in the West.
Did you know that Heracles also killed him as his 11th labor? I was like, thanks, Munch.
There you go, fun fact. Well, interesting as well, we've got Varus for Jokerism here.
Yeah.
Which we've seen Jokerism play a lot of Varus in the past. Back when it was last in meta, we were watching Jokerism really hammer away with those piercing arrows.
Jokerism actually picked Varus before it became meta. Like in the, I believe in the ESL Premiership finals, before we even saw Varus come out into, you know, what has been considered a top tier pick, he was still playing Varus. Yeah. You know, so Jokerism is very practiced on this particular champion. And now that Varus has become a sort of a top-tier pick in a lot of respects, his ability to shove waves, and we saw it in the CSQ, I believe Varus was in almost 100% of games. It wasn't quite that high, but he was in a lot of games. Now Varus has come in to sort of high-level picks. I think Jokerism will feel very comfortable picking him up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be an interesting lane for sure. No Jhin this time to go up against that Ashe, so the Crystalline Arrow doesn't hard counter necessarily, but I feel like Ashe and Varus kind of fulfill a similar role within a fight, and within the game in general.
Yeah, Ashe is a little bit more control-orientated, but you do have that percentage burst that Varus brings to the table, but both of them fulfill a similar role, albeit Varus a little bit shorter range than what the Ashe can provide. The one matchup I'm worried about for exceL, though, is in this top lane. Tolkien arguably the highest rated player in terms of solo queue right now. I believe he is on the challenger ladder at this point in time. I think he's now taking the game a bit more seriously again, because he took a break to focus on exams and studies, but now he's back, really putting time into it. This is a hard matchup for the Maokai. You really can't trade efficiently with the Darius, and Darius will always have a sort of a similar amount of sustain that you're going to have through his Decimate and his ability to heal up through it. So it's a very tough matchup for Tolkien. Tolkien's going to have to play this carefully, and I believe this is exactly what Cyclone wanted. They left that top lane pick to the very last and said, well, if they pick up a tank, then we will just take Darius. Yeah. However,
and just force the issue at that point. And I think this is an incredibly important game right now for exceL as well. When you consider how last season ended for them, they were going into playoffs as favourites to at least get to finals, and everyone was expecting exceL versus MNM. That was going to be the final. Then kind of got knocked off their pedestal by Epiphany Bolt, who took a surprise victory against them. I feel like this season is almost their chance to get back on the horse, to kind of reprove themselves and say, look, that was just one time, guys. We are still a great team.
exceL had sort of talked to me a little bit about their current roster, and they said they think that Tenor Plex is going to be jungler of the split. I don't doubt that Plex has got what it takes to be jungler of the split, but I have always felt with Plex that his performances can be godly, or his performances can be very lackluster. Yeah. He is, however, on potentially one of his best champions right now in the form of Rek'Sai. Plex is a godly Rek'Sai, so keep your eyes on him this game. He's going to have a lot of pressure across the map, and hopefully pressure, for exceL, if they're looking to be taking a dominant lead here, he needs to out-pressure the Rengar pre-6, because Rengar post-6 is going to be able to just consistently roam the map. You've got LeBlanc, who is a key target in the mid lane with the Malzahar ultimate. Ashe ulti into Rengar is going to be killing somebody in the bot lane, and then combine that with the Darius. You're going to get kills in every lane as the Rengar. So I think Plex has got to do a good job of keeping vision up, do a good job of out-pressuring this Rengar early on.
Well, we are ready to head on to Summoner's Rift, so let's get into this game for the first one between exceL and Cyclone. Let's see whether Cyclone are going to have a strong performance on their debut game of the ESL Premiership, or whether it's going to be exceL kicking things off with a strong start.
You look at Kerberos on this Darius. I mean, he's got an early aggressive start. He's going to consistently pressure this Maokai. I think that's going to be a lane that I feel like he's got a bit more of a chance in this lane versus, when we saw TLR pick up the Darius. It really didn't work out for them. He's going to have split push pressure versus the Maokai for the majority. They are maybe looking to get deep vision down here. Yeah,
a little bit of an invade going on. Nonce Hunter actually continuing forward. Tolkien, who is probably a little bit confused as to why there's a Malzahar behind him. But nothing too crazy coming off at the back of it. They don't actually force the matter and try and force a fight.
They'll have the idea now that the ward has gone down in that blue side. They'll have the idea that Nocturnal Plex will be starting on that blue side jungle. So, you know, it was a successful expedition, mainly to get an idea as to where Nocturnal Plex is starting. But Plex is now taking an interesting route. He's gonna take that Gromp, but I'm wondering whether they're just hoping that that ward times out and they're trying to avoid it at all costs. Because I think if you take a long way around here, there's not going to be a long way around for Tolkien. So they're happy to give up their starting position.
Yeah, I think at the end they just have to accept that one and take it on the chin and just say, do you know what? Yeah, you know I'm starting at blue, but what are you going to do about it? And we'll see what Cyclone will do about it. As Demo takes away his red buff as well. Smiteless start as well for Demo there. So, oh no! The dot took it. Kerberos, sorry, managing to accidentally steal the red buff. That is really bad news for Cyclone.
But it's very good news for Kerberos in lane, because he's now going to have dominant pressure versus this Maokai. Gets level 2 very early, tries to pull him in. I think he was looking for an executing kill right there, but Tolkien, at the very last, manages to dodge this one out. But I think Tolkien, if he was going to play it safe, is going to have to play it even more so. But like you said, a horrible, horrible start for Demo. It's going to reduce his experience in the jungle, going to sort of limit how quickly he gets to 6, because those camps are huge experience pools. You know, those large camps are massive experience pools, and that'll mean that now Demo is going to be slightly behind Nocturnal Plex, and you can already see that resulting in real-time applications, with Nocturnal Plex being 3 and Demo being 2.
Yeah, and I mean, the question is, can Kerberos actually use this red buff effectively? He's got to force the issue surely here and make that worthwhile, because, you know, Demo is going to be having a really hard time. And one of the biggest things is just the lack of health regen for that early jungle clear. Could be so important, especially on a champion like Rengar.
Absolutely. And he's still level 2. You can see he has to wait for that smite to come up before he can try and challenge the blue buff. Challenge the blue buff sounds funny, but you see Demo really struggling in this early jungle clear, and Plex now looking to move into that mid lane. We did think that Ziviz would have a tough time versus the Malzahar early on. You can see that's already coming true. Malzahar realistically is always going to shove in a LeBlanc early on.
There is that old saying, well, not necessarily a saying, but that old strategy of just, if you're against LeBlanc, shove her under tower and she won't be able to really put out that pressure that she is known for. And obviously that's not quite as effective anymore. She has a much better wave play than she used to, but still definitely a way of life in that mid lane for these players.
Yeah, LeBlanc will eventually have decent wave clear. You can see here when you can proc the sigil onto multiple targets, you eventually get really solid wave clear, but early on that's just not the case.
I've got to say though, yes, you shoved Ziviz under tower. Great job, Nonce. You also missed basically every CS in the lane on the way. He's on a 10 CS deficit while pushing. That just shouldn't happen.
No, but it shows you how good Ziviz is in these kind of situations. He will have felt comfortable. He's been here before. Farming under tower seems to be a speciality for him. He has also got Ignite, which is interesting because not a lot of mid laners end up taking Ignite these days, but he feels confident that he'll be able to roam and pick up kills here and there, especially against Hunter in the mid lane on this Malzahar. I think that the big issue that we are seeing, however, is that top lane Tolkien is struggling versus Kerberos, and we did expect that. You know, he hasn't died yet, hasn't burnt his flash, but definitely was forced home early. Orcs going, that was very brave.
Yeah, well, Plex is going to be here as well. Flash comes out, though, and it's going to mean that there is no kill coming on through. Latch trying to chase this one through. Orcs won't be able to escape because Kerberos is teleported in. Now Plex, after the first blood has gone down, will be a second kill. Latch grabs it, and Cyclone are off to a phenomenal start.
What a teleport there, because they did it so nicely off the back of Kerberos backing, and the fact that Demo, needing extra experience from that early poor jungle clear, can sit in top and stop Tolkien pushing nicely onto this tier 1. They are not going to be punished whatsoever. Very nice play by Cyclone early on here, and actually exceL are on the back foot already from the new team on the block.
Yeah, fantastic start to their debut game here. Cyclone now with 1,000 gold lead up their sleeves. They're going to be very pleased with how things are panning out for them. And look at where the gold is as well. You've got a kill on Darius and a kill on an Ashe. Like, I don't think you could pick better targets.
I think Ziviz has got a little bit of work to do here. He's actually going to try and go toe-to-toe with Hunter in the mid lane, but will be forced back by the Voidlings and the Malefic Visions, both of which can be real nuisances to trade into. And Demo here, difficult to find a mid lane gank as Rengar, but he's hoping that Ziviz overextends again.
Well, Ziviz has gone in, just actually does jump away in the end there. Thought he flashed for a second, but it was in fact Nonce that went for the flash. I think maybe could have committed to the scenario a little bit harder as non-Hunter there, just so your jungler could come in. But, you know, I
didn't have ulti though. I mean,
yeah,
that was one of the issues on the Malzahar.
And against the LeBlanc, you just can't afford to die. Nocturnal Plex, though, now that there are no summoners, will get that knock-up. Ignite goes down, and Orc's actually the one to grab the kill.
Yeah, I don't think the Ignite would have had to come down if Zivis had landed the chain, but yeah, Malzahar, very, very weak target when he has not got either of his defensive summoners, and they're going to feel comfortable just giving that kill over, putting pressure on that mid lane, because I think this is going to be a big lane now for exceL. I do think that Zivis has to push this advantage that he has versus Hunter, and that's going to have to snowball in him sort of attempting to roam the map, because this bot lane has gone very awkwardly, you know, out of exceL's hands because of that gank and that teleport attempt, which they just couldn't capitalize on, because A, you've got a Maokai who's not exactly going to push a turret in the early phases of the game, and B, the fact that Demo was able to just cover that top lane whilst really relinquishing no pressure across the map either. So exceL have got a little bit of work to do, and I think, like we said, it's going to have to stem from Zivis. Good gank by Nocturnal Plex.
I would argue they've got a lot of work to do on this one. Kerberos actually starting to fight with Tolkien here. His ultimate will do a huge chunk of damage. The flash comes through in the end. Wisely so from Tolkien. He knew he was in mortal danger.
Yeah, one more basic attack, and the ultimate probably would have taken him down. He even had the ultimate from the Maokai to try and sort of prevent the damage going through, but he knew he had to flash at that exact moment, maybe forcing a flash from Kerberos and trying to trade with a Twisted Advance toe for toe, but that was a very, very wise decision from Tolkien there. Now puts him at a vulnerable stage though. You know, you've got Demo level 6, you've got Kerberos who will have that ultimate off cooldown because he didn't use it. So, you know, actually now Maokai becomes a vulnerable target. He's really only got a Doran's Ring and a Ruby Crystal. You're not a very tanky tree at this point in time. And like we said, you know, Demo, to forgive the cat pun, has got the pick of the litter in terms of where he wants to try and impact. Every single lane should result in a successful gank for him.
And I mean, one of the scary things as well, it's like, in that top lane specifically, you mentioned how he's not very tanky just yet, Tolkien that is. Even though you've got that corrupting potion, that sustain just feels useless against the Darius, because when you need to pop that potion, you've still got his dot ticking away. All it does is kind of mitigate some damage. It doesn't really give you very much healing.
And he's trying to freeze that wave now, Kerberos, in the top lane. And he's doing it so very nicely. That's going to force Tolkien to make a move. You know, Tolkien can't be starved out of farm for the whole game. So you might force Tolkien to get a little bit greedy in this situation.
So this mid-wave will continue to just get shoved in to Zivis' face at this point, but he's doing a very good job of keeping up in CS. 5 ahead of his mid-lane opponent right now as Tolkien once again getting aggressed upon here. Kerberos actually doing a lot of damage. There is no flash available. The true damage comes on through. Will get the Twisted Advance, but there is no way he survives that scenario. Kerberos starting to snowball top.
Yeah, he did get greedy, and now Kerberos with that advantage, the Black Cleaver almost finished. It's going to be almost unassailable now for Tolkien to survive in this lane. It is a very clever counter pick, but you do have to make Darius work in the sense that you have to make him either split push and continue the 1v1 pressure, or find a position for him in a team fight. And I think off the back of the Ash Arrow and the Malzahar lockdown, there is a position for him to do well in a team fight situation.
I mean, if it's an extended fight, you can stack that dot up, and or you get onto a lot of low HP members, and you can get those ult resets. Darius definitely can do well in a fight. It's just a lot of the time that feels like a dream world scenario that's actually quite difficult to
and you're against a Zyra, a Varus, and a LeBlanc, all of whom can, you know, peel and disengage very well. Like you said, it feels like a dream scenario in some senses. Camillus here has to be careful. Oh, Zivis again. Yeah,
Camillus will dodge away from that tether, and that means Zivis can't quite find the kill. We'll get another one though, so good bit of damage coming on through. His cooldowns are off. That's going to be a root. Doesn't get the knockup, but Ignite is enough. Zivis went for that aggressive summoner, pays off, but Jokerism now looking for a second kill. He's going on to Nonsunter, who doesn't have anything remaining in his kit, but here comes Kerberos. Finds one for himself. Plex trades it back, and that is going to be a crystalline arrow straight into the face of Plex. A little bit more damage is all that it takes to finish off exceL, but he burrows away from this one, and Kerberos will end up going down to Tolkien. Finally finds his revenge. Latch now, pretty much the last man remaining. Cannot really finish off any of the kills.
Had Orcs hit that grasping roots, Latch might have even been the next person to go down. Excellent turnaround there from exceL, really utilizing the fact that Kerberos couldn't find the execute onto Nocturnal Plex, and Tolkien keeping him locked up for days. This is the problem that Darius has. You know, he will choose a target to start that ultimate chain on, and if they get away, he's kind of stuck in no man's land, having to build these stacks again against a very heavy damage reduction CC team in the form of, you know, Ziviz, Tolkien, Jokerism, and Orcs, all of who can lock him down very nicely. You saw how much he struggled in that particular situation.
Yeah, and I mean, had the fight started off a little bit differently, maybe things would have been different for Kerberos. Maybe would have been able to find a target a little bit easier, but was not a good start to the fight for Cyclone, and we're going to have a little bit of a pause coming on through here as well. So when you look at the gold right now, things are very even. No towers have been taken, no dragons have been taken. Just a 500 gold difference in favor of exceL. But when you look at where the gold is on the team, I'll bring up the gold values, in fact, almost 1,000 gold in favor of Kerberos. 700 at this stage. That is a huge lead to have in a single lane.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's actually a big lead for Orcs now in that bot lane, however. He kind of makes up the difference with 600 gold being in his favor over Camillus. But again, it's a support Zyra. I mean, realistically, great that you get a support Zyra fed. She will do a lot of damage output as the game progresses, but you know, you would much maybe prefer to have your gold onto Ziviz, or you maybe prefer to have your gold sitting on Jokerism, for instance. Now that the Orcs has got the gold on him, he's going to have to try and make the best use of it possible. And I have to say, some of his grasping routes haven't been ideal this game. He hasn't really found his targets when he needed to, and Ziviz almost gets a trade for free.
Yeah, nice aggressive trade, and that's the thing about Malzahar. Malefic Visions will just kind of auto-trade back. Look at the combo there. Ult combo from Nonsanta and Demo. Nothing more needs to be said. Pick up a free kill onto Ziviz.
I think if Rengar's ultimate is showing near you, you do have to be aware that that was potentially going to be the case there for Ziviz. I think he kind of overextended, didn't really respect kind of the damage output or the potential lockdown that Nonsanta and Demo could provide. And no one was there to back him up, whereas there was a really good response from Cyclone. They had that Karma rotate up towards the top lane. Latch!
In the bottom lane, Latch is in trouble. Jokerism flashing forwards, trying to finish off this kill. Doesn't quite have the damage, but Piercing Arrow will come up shortly. So little HP remaining. The shield comes through. Inspire cannot save you now because Orcs' plants are on a killing spree. Camillus will go down as well as Plex finishes that kill off, and an Ocean Drake is there on a platter if they want it.
But also the tier 1 turret in the bot lane. You know, we talked a lot about how early pressure on a turret can essentially gift you the basically advantage in the game in terms of map pressure. That looks like exceL taking a bot lane kill, will able to get this tier 1 tower in the bot lane. That will be the early pressure dictated to them. And do you know what happens now? You can swap into the Darius. You can force him to start moving lanes, and that relinquishes pressure on Tolkien. This is the best case scenario for exceL at this point in time, given how their lanes are going.
And the thing is as well, when you look at that Darius, you've got to expect a huge lead for him, right? In that lane matchup. But when it comes down to the CS numbers, it's just not there. And there's a kill in favor of Tolkien as well. Tolkien, while I'm saying this, is nearly dying to Darius, but the point remains that the CS lead is just not significant.
No, and actually now you are going to start to see Jokerism move up with Orcs to that top lane. You will see Tolkien now find his way towards the bot lane, relinquishes pressure on himself. Ziviz is now probably dead.
Once again locked up by that Nether Grasp, and actually has to flash away from this one. Does mean he will get away with his life, though.
This is a problem with the LeBlanc versus Malzahar matchup. That Nether Grasp is anything that is sort of point-and-click lockdown. That's what LeBlanc struggles with. And Malzahar has that built into his kit, although there wasn't the damage there to deal with Ziviz there and then. Ziviz hasn't actually prioritized an early Negatron Cloak, gone straight for a Morellonomicon, which is interesting to me, because I probably would have respected the damage output of the Malzahar and maybe picked up a Negatron Cloak, but he feels that the cooldown reduction and the early spike that the Morellonomicon gives him is just far more valuable.
I've got to say, I wouldn't have minded Kerberos kind of sticking around in this lane brush for a little while just to try and cheese Jokerism there. Like, he went straight back to base so he could head down to this bottom lane, but Tolkien isn't going to push you tier 2 very quickly.
Yeah, he didn't have ulti though.
But I mean, when your laners come to lane, you've got Crystalline Arrow to lock people up.
Yeah.
There was definitely potential for kind of a cheese kill there, and that's exactly what Cyclone need to pull themselves back into this game.
It looks like that's what Rengar is looking to do, though. He is looking to maybe play around that Ash Arrow An overextension from Jokerism and Orcs, and they might try and punish a potential tower dive here. Do believe he was able to escape that.
Yeah, didn't quite get spotted. Here comes Plex into... Oh, wow. Goodbye. Orcs gets another kill. Killing spree for the Zyra as Demo jumps into the fight, exhausted immediately as Zivis enters the fray also. This will be a tower going down, though, as exceL. As you said, they're looking for these towers, and now they're going to find them. Demo, having to try and escape with his life, will be able to do so. That is just going to be exceL with a clean pickup of a kill and a tower.
They might have had a rough early game here, but they are playing the macro much better than Cyclone. You know, they are outpacing them in terms of rotations, and although Tolkien seems to be stuck in a losing matchup versus Kerberos, who is going towards what looks to be a righteous glory, by the way, it kind of solves a lot of Darius' mobility issues. You know, they are winning in terms of overall pressure on the map because they are the ones, you see this is a complete cut and paste of a Fnatic Academy type rotation. You take that bot lane tier 1, you push up with your superior pushing bot lane as well as having the advantage of taking the swap first. And then you try and tower dive that tier 1 in the top lane. And actually, you know, exceL executed it pretty nicely there, as well as stopping the gank from Demo too. So, you know, this is essentially a cut and paste from what we saw from most challenger scene qualification teams. exceL are really doing it very well at this point in time. Orcs playing a very good Zyra as well with that beautiful disengage. The Stranglethorns really coming into effect against sort of a heavy engage team of the Rengar.
Yeah, phenomenal rotational play coming out from the likes of exceL, and Cyclone kind of left spinning on this one. They're 4,000 gold behind. Kind of struggling to find a way back into this one. Scoundrel just doesn't use his mute button ever.
Sorry, I kind of thought I disconnected it. There's a wire that's kind of slightly off in my headphone. I disconnected everything, so it's back now. I'm sorted.
That's good news.
Apologies.
That's okay, mate. But yeah, Cyclone pretty far behind at this point. 2 towers down, 4,000 gold down, and a dragon down on top of everything else. What is it that Cyclone needs to do to pull themselves back into this game? How do they change up their playstyle?
Well, it's not let Darius try and 1v1 Zivis. That's definitely not what you're going right with this. I think you've got to get Kerberos back into that matchup versus the Maokai. But if you get locked into a 1-3-1, you lose a lot of your wave clear because realistically, Nonce Hunter on this Malzahar is your wave. I really need to stop saying that name. Hunter on that Malzahar is this is your wave clear. So you get locked into a siege potential of a Varus and a Zyra. You actually only have the Ashe and the Karma, who eventually are going to really struggle at clearing waves. It looks like they're trying to force the issue with the Ashe and Demo in the mid lane.
Demo is in trouble here. Will get knocked up and finished off Jokerism with the snipe there. Teleport coming in from Tolkien. They're looking to turn this into a little bit more. Isn't a minion wave available though, so they have to wait just a little bit, and Ziv is actually trying to escape with his life. Will be able to do so in the end. That was actually Nethergrass used on Ziv as well, so that's going to be a huge cooldown ticking away for them. And now exceL can't really siege too hard, and Kerberos forcing the engage Tolkien on this front line. He is tanky. That Courage of the Colossus will keep him alive. Kerberos actually very not tanky. That is going to be Chain of Corruption and a kill for Jokerism. Nocturnal Plex gets onto this front line as well, starting to force the issue and looking for a tier 1 in the mid lane.
I mean, we saw Darius for Team Larsen Reborn, and he had exactly the same issue. If you don't get locked into a constant split push versus a tank, Darius really struggles to have an impact in the game. And against such good controlled team fights from exceL with the Twisted Advance, the Chain of Corruption, the Grasping Roots, Darius gets locked into this 1v1 battle with a tank in the middle of a team fight. He's not very tanky because he's gone down the Black Cleaver route, and the rest of exceL will rip him to shreds. This is why I think Darius is selectively only good in certain situations, and you have to guarantee that you're going to continue to split push for the entire game, because you get put into a team fight versus this much control, Darius just gets decimated, no pun intended. I mean, and you saw it just right there, that he did nothing in that fight.
And I think the thing is as well, like, you've got to snowball that lane. You have to be able to just dominate your lane opponent, because when you get to this stage in the game, if you haven't, you're in trouble.
A tank is just strictly
really
better, right?
Struggle.
The funny thing about Darius is if you want to pick a split pusher, there are better split pushers. If you want to pick a tank, there are better tanks. He's like this odd hybrid between the two of them that I don't really think has a place.
Oh, we do have a fight going on towards the top side of the map. Speaking of Darius, trying to get a bit of damage onto Tolkien, but he's got a bit of armor to work with now, so shouldn't be able to achieve too much. Now they've just sent Jokerism to this mid lane. He's just going to be clearing waves all day long, but they're struggling to actually get their siege on the go against this mid lane tower, you know. LeBlanc, not really the greatest of siegers in the game. Actually kind of messing up his jumps on this one. Zivis still surviving though. Crystalline Arrow lands onto him. Stranglethorns will deny the further engage though. Demo on the thrill of the hunt right now. Will he be able to find a target though? I don't think so.
Zivis is probably counting his lucky stars there.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened there, but Demo finally goes in. It's onto Plex though, so no real damage coming across, and Kerberos just teleporting in to deny pressure.
Well, he's got the Righteous Glory now, so there is that potential for him to get towards the backline, but you've still got to get through the hard CC. I mean, Maokai's Twisted Advance in the most case can be just used to peel directly against the Darius.
Well, bit of damage onto the tower now. This is an opportunity. Plex getting hooked in by that Apprehend. They can't quite do enough to finish off the tower though, just getting a few shots on.
Yeah, without Malzahar, you will always lose in this siege versus exceL. And that's why exceL were struggling at one point to push them in that mid lane, because both Malzahar and Ashe provide enough wave clear to stop the exceL wave ever getting to the turret. So, you know, you saw once Malzahar and Ashe had backed off, Kerberos and the rest of his team couldn't really stand up to that exceL push coming out from Jokerism. So, you know, you are limited now to where you probably have to have Nonce Hunter and Ashe stuck here trying to clear waves as much as possible.
And in the meantime, Ziv is just walking wherever he pleases on this map, trying to find opportunities to pick off some kills. Ziv is not really going off in the way that we were kind of expecting him to here in this game. Actually looking for a blue buff, will be able to secure it and walks away with his life as well. Getting a chunk of damage onto Demo just as a cherry on the cake right there. And Ziv is, the second I say he's not really going off, just showing a bit of mechanical prowess right there. Up in the top lane though, Kerberos in a 1-versus-1 against Tolkien, who's going to try and escape this situation, but the damage buff coming into play right now. Apprehend lands as well. Flash available for Tolkien, but will it be enough? Kerberos has his flash available as well. There's the true damage. You can't flash the animation, and Kerberos grabs a kill.
This is that area of advantage that Darius has. 1v1 versus tanks, he's probably going to win with the Black Cleaver 9 times out of 10. Would have liked to seen Tolkien maybe try and flash that earlier to ward Kerberos away, like we saw him do earlier on in the laning phase. However, just got fallen suspect, unfortunately, I think at this point, Tolkien maybe thought he was doing well enough to not have to worry about trading into Darius, but unfortunately fell prey to the powerhouse that is that man with the basketball.
I think people often forget just the consistent pressure that comes out of Darius. It's not like it's just huge burst damage, flash away from the Crystalline Arrow there. He has a lot of sustain in those fights,
yeah.
So if he can keep it going, he will just continue to melt health bars and will keep healing himself up with his Decimate. But Demo actually using that ultimate just to ward off Plex, make sure that Kerberos can get away. Kerberos, sorry.
The build that we're seeing coming out from Demo here is the Dead Man's Plate after the Warrior build. We sometimes see it. He gets the cooldown reduction as well. It's a little bit off-tanky, mainly designed to provide a threat to the backline and get out of CC as well. And then you kind of facilitate the rest of your team doing damage. Ziv is forced to back out here. He's having a tough time versus Hunter. Hunter still has that Nether Grasp available too. It seems like Malefic Visions is doing some serious work.
Yeah. Well, Nonce Hunter does actually step quite aggressively forward, but you know, that spell shield just too difficult to deal with for a LeBlanc. You need your full combo to land to really do the significant damage that's required to get those kills. Yeah,
no, completely agree. I think Ziv seems to be struggling in the 1v1, but it has got the wave push going in his favor, and you can see here in the mid lane, it's taking its toll on Latch. He's taken very low. This should be exceL pushing on to this mid lane tier 1 here. You are going to see Kerberos coming in, as well as Demo, to try and do the element of protection, but goodness.
Jokerism is going to get locked up. Stranglethorns comes on down to protect the AD carry, and it will do so. Kerberos trying to get onto him, but now with an exhaust tether coming out from Ziviz, that will be Jokerism protected. The dot might finish him. I don't know if he survives this one. No, he doesn't. Traded 1 for 1, but a tower goes down as well. And Ziviz is looking for more. Jumps in and has to back away once again. Tolkien now will get rooted up. Demo can't really follow up on the engage though. And it is going to be a 1 for 1, but the tower goes to exceL. Yeah,
it was an excellent engage from Latch, but, you know, like we said, you saw how difficult it was for Darius here. Let's have a quick look at the replay. That's a really long stun. If you can hit an arrow for a very long way away, you get, you know, between a 2 and 3 second stun. Now look at how difficult it is for Darius. I mean, he's just running through the team fight. He doesn't even get the immediate kill off the back of his ultimate, and he gets decimated by exceL. That's only going to get worse. As the game progresses and Darius's damage falls off, that is only going to get worse for him. So, you know, he has to be stuck into a split push. He really can't come into a team fight situation because he doesn't know which target to focus. He's probably not going to get his hands on a key target like Jokerism or Zivis, which kind of leaves him dueling Nocturnal Plex or Tolkien. And Darius, you know, is not a full-blown tank.
Well, Demo actually using Thrill of the Hunt there just to maybe find a pick. I think he was hoping Orcs was going to be clearing vision around the Baron Pit or something along those lines, and maybe find an opportunity for a kill there. Interesting build coming out from Demo here, going Deadman's Plate first after his jungle item. What do you think of this build? It's kind of a hybrid between the Bruiser and the Assassin.
Well, actually, Deadman's Plate is generally, if you're going to build the tank Rengar, or sort of tank Rengar in inverted commas, that is the first item that most people would go, because it gives you that sort of like hybrid defense-offense potential, and obviously your first hit out of your passive will stack the Deadman's Plate and you'll get a big first hit, and it's supposed to be enough so that you do enough damage onto a key target and potentially can still act as an assassin while not getting burst as quickly. So, you know, a lot of people thought that this is going to be a viable build path for him. But if I'm completely honest, the success of Rengar in the Challenger Series qualifier was when Rengar was built as a full assassin. Like, literally, I jump out of ult and one-shot you before you can even say anything. With this build, you have to do a little bit more extended damage. You're kind of more there to consistently apply damage over a course of a couple of seconds as opposed to trying to blow them up in a singular second. So I'm interested to see whether this works out here for Demo.
It's going to be an interesting one that we'll see as the game progresses, whether he's actually able to get that kind of snowball damage on the go, whether he's able to stick to those targets and really make a difference in those fights. And I think it's definitely a significantly different style of Rengar to that assassin version that we've seen be so successful. But so far, Demo, he's been doing a good job with his ultimates. I think that's a key thing, but Camilius has been locked up. Strangled Thorns will secure the kill, but it's Plex that gets the credit in the end. Nothing Latch can do about that one.
Yeah, good vision control from exceL. They had full idea as to where Camilius? Sorry, I almost said Lacilius because my vision is pretty terrible. But Camilius there getting locked up. That was a good ult by, a good lockup by Orcs there. You know, very well done to him. Interesting that Demo chooses to use his ultimate now. I often feel like people use it as, while Tolkien just gets 1v1'd again, I often feel that people use the Rengar ult to zone people away more than anything. Look at this though.
Demo's in trouble, and so is Latch. There goes Ziv is into the backline. It's another kill for Plex, and there's another one for Orcs, who is somehow sweeping up all of these kills. 4, 1, and 9 on that Zyra right now. Kerberos, yes, he got a kill, but he can't push the tower. He has to come and try and defend, but this mid lane tower may well go down regardless. Yeah,
actually should be now Karma walking through too. Actually, Kerberos forcing a flash out of Jokerism there because of the inspired shield, the movement speed, and the righteous glory. Could have been the end of Jokerism had they not respected that potential damage output. So yeah, very well played by exceL to back off, but again, they get another structure for basically free.
Joe needs to be a little bit careful here. Righteous Glory is an item that exists, but it's going to be Kerberos getting onto Plex, and that is going to be him rooted up. The dots are ticking away, but I think he walks away with that one. Jokerism grabbing one onto Kerberos. Arrow onto Zivis, but there's no follow-up because Tolkien teleported in, just zoned everybody away. Plex survived. He got that sustain from his passive.
Yeah, he did.
And that is going to be an Infernal Drake.
He got the sustain from being burrowed with that rage bar. Really well played. Now Tolkien the target. He might be the sacrificial lamb here.
Zivis manages to get away from Demo with his life. Tolkien still doing pretty decent for HP, and will get a lot of sustain from the amount of abilities that are being cast. Strangled Thorns once again comes out, zones away a lot of the team, so Tolkien still surviving on this one. Somehow keeping himself alive, and now the rest of exceL can re-engage. Latch is the first one to go down. Demo trying to escape. Look at the health bars. Once again, this is what we saw from Xenix. Everybody low, but nobody goes down.
There's no one that deals enough damage to a Maokai with almost 3 items to really be an effective killer. Only Kerberos in a 1v1 over an extended trade can do that. You don't have a Liandry's, as you can see, Nonce Hunter has realized and is now going towards a Liandry's. You don't have any form of armor penetration on the Ashe right now, and armor has been stacked in its abundance on Tolkien. No one can deal enough damage to him, and the Rengar, had he gone aggressive Rengar build, he would have one-shot Zivis there, and the fight probably would have been over. But he went tank Rengar, and you could see the damage is just very lackluster from this build. Even when you get a squishy target like Zivis, you couldn't even take him down for about 30% HP to death. I know there must be a reason for this Rengar build, and I realize it probably has some value somewhere, but I'm still not seeing it. I cast the entire Challenger Series qualification tournament. Every time we saw a Rengar go this build, they lost. Every time we saw a Rengar go the aggressive build, they won. I'm still yet to see the value of the build.
Well, Orcs now has his Leandris. So this is... Oh, in fact, I think he's had his Leandris for a little while.
He's had it for a little while.
He is doing some serious damage. He's also got a blasting one. I think he's going towards a Void Staff, which would be a terrifying addition to his arsenal. The magic penetration. On top of Zyra's just pure base damage.
It could also be a Ryalize, I think. But you're right, it could be a Void Staff, which is what it more looks like it's going to be. I would usually see them go Leandris for the control in a teamfight situation, but I think Void Staff makes a lot of sense. Get through some of the early magic resist being built up here, do a huge amount of damage. I mean, that is really going to be a massive pressure by Orcs. Arrow comes through, hits onto Plex.
Yeah, Plex not really the target, but Nethergrasp on top of it, still surviving somehow. But no, he doesn't go down. Shield comes on through. Courage of the Colossus will not keep him alive, but it's a trade 1-for-1. And now Tolkien on this front line, once again, near invincible. Non-Hunter flashes away, but can it save him from Zivis? Yes, it can. Tolkien goes in, though. Gets onto the back line. Look how low the health bars are. Can they finish off these members? Tower goes down. Now onto Demo. The red buff slowing this one down. One more kill for Jokerism. Can't quite finish it off. exceL. They don't have to back away, though. They can layer on the pressure. Yeah, they've got limited time here. I think they can definitely get the turret off the back of this, but not the inhibitor. And they will back off with 2 turrets off that siege and a 2-for-2 trade. Darius, again, whilst he was kind of... Let's have a look at it here. He was facilitating and helping getting the kill onto Nocturnalplex. He was still fairly useless in that fight. Tolkien doing way more work in terms of soaking damage. Had Tolkien not been there, he would have just instantaneously lost the fight. But Tolkien soaks up so much damage for exceL, picks up 2 kills and kind of facilitated by himself, and Jokerism for the most part was untouched. I think exceL looking very good in a teamfight situation. They've actually extended the gold lead to, can you believe it, just over 10k. And that feels like it was very even until very recently. Yeah, and I've got to say, Tolkien, while he's not been like, you know, he's not been carrying this game in the typical sense, the fact that he basically didn't feed Kerberos, the fact that he didn't fall behind in lane significantly has been absolutely huge. Camilius now getting locked up by Zivis, who wants more but will get caught out. CSS comes on through, keeps him alive. Demo managing to dodge away from the CC though, but will get locked up once again. Nobody goes down there. Has to use his ultimate. He's going to try and maybe find a pick here, but look at the damage, and Rengar's damage in this build is just so low. Couldn't even burst Zivis, who got locked up by an Ash Arrow and was taken to a very low amount of HP. I mean, that was so close for Zivis to going down and potentially even maybe giving up a Baron. Kerberos is going to get locked up. Stranglethorn's knock-up will be enough to secure that kill, and now Tolkien comes in. Doesn't have flash to force the engage there, but still finding 1 kill onto the top laner. This might turn into more as they look towards the big purple worm. Baron has been started off, and Zivis just making sure nobody can come anywhere near Demo. He wants to try and get close, he wants to try and steal this one, but I don't think that that's a realistic expectation. Yeah, and Zivis doing a great job of zoning by himself. Baron take by exceL. Full vision of it, by the way, for Cyclone, but they knew that they were in no position to contest. And while this is 7 kills on this Darius, he also has 6 deaths. And he also has had limited impact. And like I said, I like it into the Maokai. I don't like it into the team comp. Well, now exceL with this Baron buff, they should be feeling confident. They should be feeling powerful as they head towards this top lane inhibitor tower. You've got Zivis pushing in the mid lane in the meantime. Kerberos coming on in. Tolkien will soak up an Ash Arrow on this one, but look how tanky he is. He can soak this damage up all day long. Kerberos cannot, however. Nethergrasp will stop Tolkien in his tracks, but it's not enough. That they don't have the damage to take on this street. Demo going in onto Plex, but he's tanky as well, soaking up that damage quite merrily. And the poke will consistently come out. In the meantime, you've got Plex now heading towards this mid lane. There is no tower. The inhibitor. The siege will begin. Jokerism arriving as well. Should be able to finish this one off with ease. Kerberos cannot get close to this team.
My worry is that once Leandries is completed on Nonce, there should potentially be cause for them to win team fights in terms of bursting through the likes of Tolkien, getting Nocturnal Plex down low enough as well. Once that has been completed, which it has now, you would feel that maybe there was a better cause for Cyclone to try and pick fights. I still don't think they win, but it definitely gives them a big tool, as Tolkien might get locked up in a 1v1 versus Kerberos again.
Yeah, there are other players nearby. They're taking quite a long time to react, but Latch and Nonce Hunter now arriving. Tolkien gets away, but Crystalline Arrow will be used to force this issue. Nether Grasp down as well. They're using a lot to secure this kill. They should be able to do it though, but now the rest of exceL have arrived. He's bought enough time. Plex gets onto Latch. There's another kill. Ziviz can happily kite away from Kerberos. So can Orcs. They will escape. Finally, Demo gets the kill he's been looking for all game long. But it's a double kill going the way of Plex. And I'm not sure there's a way out for Demo on this one. They just need to find one tiny bit of CC. There's a chain. Will not actually lock him up. Demo getting a blast cone as well. They're chasing very far for this one. Will be able to get away in the end. And it will be a bottom lane tier 2.
I think they were
They weren't even needed for that.
They were perfectly happy to continue the chase if it allowed them to join this huge wave that they'd accrued in the bot lane. And again, like you said, Tolkien surviving so long that the rest of his team were able to come from base and then collapse and then turn this into what it is right now. And Demo, I mean, his damage is kind of scary if you give him a long time.
Trouble actually on this one. GA will be procced. Both carries incredibly low. Crystalline Arrow does not land. Demo going back in onto him, but cannot finish off the AD carry. Demo drops. This inhibitor surely will follow him. Supers are starting to push onto these Nexus towers as Latch goes down as well. This might well be the end of the game, ladies and gentlemen. exceL looking phenomenal in this first map. They're looking for Kerberos. He's trying to finish the carries, finds one, but cannot finish off Jokerism. The lifesteal coming into play in that fight. Now, the Nexus towers are not long for this world. The Baroned up Supers will be pushing from both lanes at this stage. Orcs is coming up the mid lane to help out his team. This will be the first game in this best of 2, going the way of Team exceL.
I think exceL looked strong, but they didn't look dominant. They didn't look like Eminem looked, for instance, last season. And I no doubt about it, I think they looked fantastic. But they showed signs of weaknesses in terms of decision-making and even portions of the laning phase. You would say that Cyclone could have been thought to have the edge in maybe the early 5 to 10 minute mark. And I think exceL need to tighten that portion of their game up right now, because you can't get caught out like that. You can't let a Darius start to run away like that, because if Cyclone had played that correctly, they'd allowed Darius to just split push most of the time, kept the other lanes trying to just consistently clear. Like, they genuinely had a real shot. Let's have a quick look at the first blood. This is that gank that Kerberos comes down to influence, and this is what I talked about in the early game, some poor decision-making. Going to see a little slurry of replays here, actually. Do you know what? I'm just going to let it speak for itself. This is just exceL on their way to victory.
And then, I mean, there were so many moments where exceL, they seem to just be able to sneak an edge out of these situations. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these are kind of one-for-one trades, these early skirmishes, because as you said, it was very close between the two teams. It really could have gone either way, but this was the team fight where we really saw Kerberos start to struggle. Yeah,
and also we saw Demo start to struggle too in terms of his build path. I mean, I think there was a couple of factors that really there's 3 major factors, I would say, that put the spanner in the works. In fact, I'm going to say 4. 4 major factors that put a spanner in the works for Cyclone. Darius realistically does not have a role in teamfights against this much hard C. I mean, he has to burn so much just to get a kill, and he dies anyway. Demo was not one-shotting anybody. I know the build's not supposed to do that, but I've always favoured that the sort of more aggressive Rengar build over the tanky Rengar build, just on the off sense that, to be honest, he had so